welcome back to my channel. This is once again Just Jazz XOXO, and I am doing a Kicking It with Jazz. 3 years ago I started this channel, Just Jazz XOXO, and it was a huge blessing in disguise. It was an opportunity for me to be able to share my talents, but also talk about the things that I currently went through or going through, and I just used it as an outlet. I kind of got distracted. Let's just say I was just a hot raggedy old mess. But I am once again back because I want to be able to share all these experiences and stories that I have currently went through to be able to hopefully be a blessing to somebody else. Because what is the point of going through the things that we go through if we can't encourage and help somebody else that might be going through the same exact thing, okay? So I'm gonna just jump right into it. I know that I told you all before that I am a Christian. I've been a Christian my entire life. I don't know anything but being a Christian. That's just what I have always grew up as. But as far as knowing God, I didn't start to know God until I was a little bit older and started to gain a relationship with Him. And that's when I just decided to do things differently. My mom had always taught us about abstinence my entire life. She always told us, do not have sex until you're married. Do not have sex until you're married. Do not have sex until you're married. Like, she drilled that inside of our head. But why? She did tell us why, but it just didn't sink in until I got that personal relationship with God. And that's when I was like, you know what, God? Even though I have already been abstinent my whole life, and I've already said that I am going to wait until I'm married, now I really am, because I know that this is a gift that I want to be able to give to my husband. So because of that, I decided to, of course, be celibate. And I was going to be celibate until I was married. Nobody was stopping me from that. Nobody was taking me away from that at all. Long story short, I ended up meeting this guy at this new workplace that I had. I liked him a lot, but I know that me and him weren't right together, because the simple fact was we were complete opposites, and we were not on the same page when it came to our spiritual awareness and who we were with God. He was a Christian, but he didn't have a relationship with God. And me, as the person with a relationship with God, I should have drew him in, but not as a girlfriend, as a friend, and showed him the love of God. But instead, I kind of fell back and I let him actually change me instead of me changing him. And because of that, I had consequences. I ended up having sex at the age of 25. And the first time, and I am not kidding or joking with you all, okay? Listen up. The first time, numero uno, okay, that I had sex, I ended up getting pregnant. The first time. I knew nothing about sex because my mom didn't really teach me about sex. I told you, she was like, girl, abstinence. That's all. It was nothing else. There was no choice. There was no option. There was no condoms. There was no birth control. There was no nothing. It was abstinence, and that's it. Ain't no I might, you may, you will, you might get pressured into this. You might, end up. It was no. You're about to be abstinent, period. And so I was naive. I didn't know nothing about that. This guy was my second boyfriend. I was in love, and I ended up giving him something that I cherished. And after the fact that I gave it to him, I cried, because I was like, I was supposed to give that to my husband. Like, what the heck? I felt like, you know what? Well, I already fell into it. I already went outside the will of God. I don't have that relationship with God anymore because I left him. And because I left him, I'm gonna do whatever in the world I want to do. And because of that sense of thinking, I lost who I was as a person. I no longer knew who I was. I no longer knew what I stood for. I no longer knew my purpose. Every single thing, every single dream that I had, it just disappeared. And he consumed me. All I wanted was him. I didn't want anything else, but I just wanted to be in a relationship with him. and I still needed to grow. I hadn't gotten to the point that God wanted me to be at. I told you that was only my second relationship, so I didn't know things that I should have known. And because of that, me and him had ended up breaking up and splitting, and I didn't know what to do. I ended up being pregnant, alone, and ultimately a single mother, because I went off the rails and started doing what I wanted to do instead of doing what God wanted me to do. I decided to go left instead of going right where God was placing me. And from then on, me and him had an extremely tumultuous relationship. And I would cry out to God and say, why would you put me in this situation where I have to be with this person that's the complete opposite of me, that doesn't get me and I don't get him, and we have to come together to raise a daughter? Why would you do that to me? Why wouldn't you just give me somebody who I can get along with, who I can parent my child with? And naturally, of course, because you have a child with somebody, you want to be a family. But because of the way that we interact with each other, we knew that that could never happen, because I went back to Christ and he remained where he was, and I refuse to go back in that direction. I refuse to take another step left when God is telling me to go right. This time I decided to listen. And so now I am a single mother of one, and I have a very rambunctious 6-month-old daughter. And I just had to learn so many things. And one of the things that I had to learn for sure was forgiveness. Forgiving the person for hurting you, forgiving the person for all the things that they did, the father of your child. Because if you don't forgive them, then you're never going to be able to move on. And you're never going to be able to get that person that is supposed to be for you, because you're still living in that hurt and that pain that that person caused for you. And I was constantly living in that hurt, and I was constantly living in that pain, and because of that, I would show out every single time, to the point where I thought that eventually I would probably push him away, and then Milani wouldn't have a dad. So I had to think, you know what? Is it about me and what I want and how I feel, or is it about my daughter and her not having a father inside of her life? Yes, she can get a stepfather that can love her as much as he loves me. However, that will never replace her dad. So because of that, I have to work out things with her dad, and I have to learn to forgive him. Okay, so I am back. My Nikon is currently on. My Canon died, so the quality is probably, but the story remains, the message that I just wanted to get across, which is, if you have not had kids yet and you're trying to decide if you want to have sex before marriage, or if you're trying to decide if you want to have kids before marriage, I'm just coming to you all to encourage you all to wait. If so, wait until you're married, because you never know the relationship that you're going to have to go through with that guy. You never know if that's even going to last or sustain. And then you may have the option of having to raise your child up in a broken home, and nobody wants for their kids to be in a broken home. You want a one family unit where you can raise them together. Being a single mother is hard work. I literally live in an apartment on the 2nd floor, so I have to carry my daughter up in her car seat, and it's extremely heavy. I have to get up I don't know how many times a night to change her, to feed her, to do all these things. I have to nurture her, and I have to do all these things. Sometimes I have to fight with her dad. If you're not in that phase yet where you do have a child, I suggest for you to wait until you are married so that you can raise your child up in that great home. However, if you are a single mother, I'm here to encourage you and let you know that life goes on. You may think that, you know, woe is me. That's exactly how I was. I was like, man, why in the world is my life like this? Why me? And God said, why not you? Things happen inside of our life for a reason. One thing that becoming a single mom for me taught me was growth. And it taught me that I am way stronger than I ever thought that I was. That's what a single mom is going to teach you. It's going to teach you strength, ladies. You are strong and you are more than a conqueror. And you have to remember that you might not be with the father of your child, but that doesn't mean that you cannot raise your child up in a loving home. That does not mean that you will not find a man, or a man won't find you that loves you as much as he loves your daughter. You're going to find that love of your life. He's going to find you, actually, and you're going to be so happy because it's not going to be hard as it was with your baby's father. It's not going to be as hard, and you're going to be able to appreciate him so much more, because when you were a single mom and you did have to go through that struggle, now you're going to be able to appreciate that man more than you probably would have if initially you weren't a single mom and you didn't have to go through that struggle. So that appreciation is going to be 100% there. But just know that your strength relies in the Lord. And it's not about what you want. It's about what you need. Maybe things didn't work out in your life because they weren't supposed to. Because God has something greater for you. I thought about, I think Meghan Markle, you know, she's a princess. I heard that she was divorced before. I'm not sure if this is true or not, but she had a marriage. Just imagine if she was trying to hold on to that man. Just imagine like how broken she probably was during that divorce, and she didn't even know that. God had a whole Buckingham Palace for her. All she had to do was just let go of what was, because God was going to present her what is and what is for her. And that's what we do a lot of the times, is we hold on to these dead things that are no longer breathing and no longer alive, and we're trying to drag it along with us, and we're wondering why the weight of the world is on our shoulders and why we feel so heavy. It's because we didn't get rid of that baggage that we've been carrying with us. Let go of that baggage, because you're going to be so much lighter than you were if you didn't let it go. You're going to be so much lighter. And you're going to be like, when you get to that place that God wants you to go, when you get to that place that you're supposed to be, you're going to be like, why in the world was I holding on to that when God had this for me? Your greatness is coming. And there's going to be a man that's going to come, and he's going to see like, man, this woman is strong. She holding it down. She taking care of her kids. She in school. She working. She doing all these things. Man, that's my woman. That's the woman for me. That's that Proverbs 31 woman that I was always looking for. I'm about to go holler at her, you know? But don't do the things because you want to attract a man. Do the things because you want to attract yourself. You want to love yourself. And you want to be an example to your son or daughter. My daughter is the number one thing in my life. And I used to ask God, why would you do this to me? And now I say to God, thank you for doing this to me. You taught me so much. You taught me so much growth. I know I still got some growing to do. I'm not perfect yet. I still got some trials and some tribulations to go through. I know that I'm not all the way out the storm, but guess what? I'm growing, and I'm going to get there. I might be a caterpillar right now, but I know that eventually I'm going to turn into that butterfly. And my daughter is going to be right there looking at me. She's going to be looking at how I handle things and how I interact with her father and how I am a woman of God. She's going to be looking at these things because she's going to grow up to be exactly what I present in front of her. Let's break these generational curses that our parents put on us, and let's create something new so that they don't have to go through what we had to go through. Period. So yeah, single mama ain't easy. And yeah, I did get pregnant the first time that I had sex. But you know what? God is working it out for my good. He's turning around a situation that the devil meant for evil, and he's going to turn it around and flip it for my good. And that's how we got to look at it. That's the only way that we can look at it. Period, point, blizzard. Okay? So I'm not going to go any more further because I feel like what I had to say, what God wanted me to say, I said it. So I'm all good and I'm all done. Life is too short to not be able to speak your truth, okay? So thank you all so much for watching. XOXO. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe. You know you want to. XOXO. Mwah.